Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, today we're going to do another cemetery vlog. You know how I love those. I found an old cemetery kind of on the east side of Waco called the Oakwood Cemetery. It's been there for 141 years, since 1878. It was like the first public cemetery in the Waco area, and I actually, by looking on Find a Grave, I discovered that there's actually a few interesting people that are buried there. So let's go check this out. We're going to go to the Oakwood Cemetery. This should be fun. Oakwood Cemetery, established 1878. All right, so here we are at Oakwood Cemetery. This place is massive. I guess I knew that from the map. So I don't think we're going to be able to even scratch the surface to everything that's here. But there's a couple of markers I'm actually looking for. So let's keep going here. I think I'm headed in the right way. I got a map on my iPad that kind of shows me where everything is. I think it's going to get us into the general area. I really love all these old trees that they got here. Apparently this was all part of a beautification process that was done in the 1940s, and the trees were just donated by residents of Waco. But look at all the beautiful old trees here. It's actually pretty nice to be out and around in here because it isn't so swelteringly hot as it usually is. A lot of times it can be difficult to find things here. Fortunately, this cemetery seems to be really well marked, and once you look at the map online, you can kind of, I think, pin yourself down to where you're going to be pretty quickly. Alright, I gotta admit, I've been looking for one particular marker for about an hour now, wandering around. This cemetery, it has a big section here, and this is called section B1, but it doesn't really, there's no way to narrow down where exactly, what part of section B1 this is. And there's probably 2,000 or 3,000 markers here, and I had just given up on actually looking, and I was just kind of wandering around looking at graves, and I actually found the one I'm looking for. C.C. Alderton is the man who invented Dr. Pepper. So yeah, this is a guy who did it. Like I said, I wandered around here for like an hour trying to find this, and I was using Find a Grave and trying to narrow it down by typing in names on graves and seeing what section that was, and hoping that that would lead me in the right area. And yeah, didn't work very well. But then I was just about to walk away, and here he is. So yeah, this is a man that invented Dr. Pepper. Now, I'm not going to actually spend time trying to find everything else in here because it just wasn't, it's just really hard to find anything. This cemetery isn't very well marked. So I'm just going to kind of wander around and look at some of the graves, some of the older ones, ones that are interesting. But yeah, here he is. This is the man who invented Dr. Pepper. Yeah, there was one picture that kind of showed this tree here, and so I said, okay, well, I'm just going to wander around close to the trees here and see if I could find it. And it was kind of basically an image, something like that, on the Find a Grave memorial. So yeah, there we go. There he is. It still bugs me when I see things like this, but they have a very strict rule about flags and stuff like that here, and they say it will be removed by the cemetery crew, or by the people who work here. And it looks honestly like the guy with the lawnmower just went over the top of that. I can't even find a grave around here that looks like it might be for them, so I don't even know where to put it. I don't really want to take it, but I don't know what to do. The grave is very close by, and this one's at least a military person, so I think I'm just going to place it here. Like I said, it would be inappropriate for me to take it with me, but I don't want to just leave it on the ground either. That's the best I can do. I just put a stick on top of it so it didn't blow away, because I can't even find any like pebbles or anything. You can see what I mean by how big this little section of B1 is here, and why it took me an hour to stumble upon that one gravestone. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back to the front of the cemetery. This seems more recent stuff, and there were some like really old markers up front. So let's go there and see what we can find. See, some of the markers around in this place are really impressive. This one's at least a good 12 feet tall. Let's see if you can even read that. Died in 1947. Emma Raynell Leslie, born Charleston, South Carolina, died December 13, 1917. She died as she... Sorry, maybe that looks better. Maybe it's more visible here. It's hard to read. I think it says she died as she lived, a Christian, I think. Sometimes these look better on the on video than they do in real life here. Albert J. Leslie, Charleston, Massachusetts, 1816 to 1901. That's an old one. This is another large memorial. John Fisher, 1840-1902, and Mattie Fisher, 1856-1939. Now I've seen a few of these big, massive obelisks here. This one here is probably 25 feet tall. Yeah, you just don't see them do graves like that anymore. That's the same name, Cornish. So I'm guessing this is like the Cornish family grave area, because that's Victor Cornish. Can't read that one entirely. Yeah, here's some more of the Cornish family. Although looking at the monument, maybe it's Gornish. Kind of looks like Gornish there, but you know, that's not what they look like here. That definitely looks like a C. Hard to tell. That's a military one. Orson Squire Womack, Texas. Looks like 360th Infantry. Died 1931, looks like. It's sometimes surprising how well preserved a lot of these markers are, considering, I mean, that one's, assuming that this is the original marker, that's been there more than 100 years. That's in pretty good shape, except for what the birds have done to it. You gotta wonder if maybe they've replaced some of the markers over the years. Because I don't care how well you make the marker, 100 years of weathering usually erodes them somewhat. Wow, that's a pretty impressive marker too. For the Castillos. Relatively recent. Mother and father, Tommy and Raphael, died in 1902, died in 1956. Just check out the work on that. That's beautiful. Seems like on some of these markers there's a competition to see who can have the biggest obelisk. I think this is the biggest one I've seen here. This one's clearly 40 feet tall. The tree is completely built around that, completely grown around that. That's not quite as big as the 40-foot one, but that's at least 30 feet. A lot of obelisks in this section over here. That must have been the fad during this time period. A Korean war vet. Edward Sturgis, CSA, died 1895. Richard Koch, Another CSA. Died 1870 or 1897. This one actually has a historical marker on it. Dr. David Richard Wallace, 1825-1911. Educated as a physician, North Carolina native, David Richard Wallace moved to Texas in the 1850s. He taught at Baylor University, in Independence, and in Waco, and served in the Civil War. In Waco, he was a prominent doctor, educator, and civic leader who was instrumental in the formation of state and local medical associations. An early pioneer in psychiatry, he was named to head asylum facilities in Austin and Terrell. And he has another one of these big massive monuments too. I guess that's a statue of him up there. It's interesting because right on the other side here, turn around, there's another statue over here of Richard Koch. Looks like he was a governor and a senator in Congress for 18 years. Okay. Brigadier General Jerome B. Robertson, Hood's Texas Brigade, CSA, died 1890. That's another marker that's in really pretty good shape, considering it's more than 100 years old. And another Brigadier General, Felix H. Robertson. I wonder if they must have been related. Deborah K. Witt, Captain, U.S. Air Force, Persian Gulf, died 2014. And here's a couple of really old ones. Mary L. Oliver, born 1830, died 1899. And then this looks like John W. Oliver, born looks like 1835. It's hard to tell when died. 18 something, I don't know. Maybe it'll be more visible on the video. Now, I don't know if this is a sarcophagus or just some place that they store stuff. There's no markings on it whatsoever, but it's ancient. Look at how it's eroded over the years. Bessie Evans Halbert, born 1884, died 1886. Gone too soon. And it seems that the rest of the family is all here too. Several generations, it would appear. Because that one goes to 1959. And there's more of the Halpert family behind it here. Not cool, man. Not cool. So this is right up in kind of the front of the cemetery, and it kind of makes sense that this is where the oldest graves would be. But this cemetery is absolutely massive. I mean, that's going backward right there, and it just goes on and on and on. And then it's interesting how they kind of mix it up in this cemetery, because you have these really old markers here. And then right next to it is one where the person was buried about a month ago. Looks like they were married in 1946, and I guess since they're married together, they remained together until he died in 2010. So that's what, 64 years? That's pretty impressive today. Now, I could probably do like 20 vlogs with a cemetery this size, but I think we've hit kind of the highlights over here. It's kind of interesting. I started becoming more successful in finding what I was looking for once I stopped looking, because I did the research on it, and there were supposedly some Civil War generals. We found them just by accident. There was the inventor of Dr. Pepper. We found him sort of by accident, and saw a few graves of veterans from wars from the Civil War on. So, you know what? I think we're going to call it a day here. I hope you enjoyed this. You know I love walking through old cemeteries, so this was fun for me. So anyway, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.